Karthik asks if you guys short a company stock, what percentage of the portfolio would be betting? Do any of you guys short or do puts or anything like that, or would you consider it?
No, the maths doesn't work. Yeah, the best case you'd make a double. Worst case you go bankrupt. So why would you even play that game? In my head,
is you're at least on a short, your upside is fixed. Well, I guess on a put too. Because it can only go down to zero, and then that's it.
I mean, something like selling put options are of more interest to me, like Phil Town kind of does. But I wouldn't.
But that's bullish. That's bullish at that point. So
yeah,
you mean like selling calls? I think Karthik's going for more bearish. Like if you think something's going to go down, do you ever make a play on that?
Yeah. Well, no is the answer to that.
Yeah.
I think the way people do it is terrible. I mean, the way Carson Block does it, so he actually goes after a particular company, calls it a fraud, shorts it all the way down. I think that's the way to do it. It's the ultimate test of conviction. How much do you really know about the company?
And he's actively looking for fraud. He's not really looking for like, oh, I think this company's going to fail because I don't believe in it. It's like, this is not what we think it is. wee woo, blow the whistle. That's his approach.
Well, I'd say before you get into that kind of approach, you got to ask yourself, is this how I want to be spending my time? Is this the energy that I want to be cultivating in my life? It sounds pretty rough to me.
I do have, I almost forgot about it. Speaking of Carson Block, he wrote something about eHealth a while back, talking about how they're incinerating cash. And this was back when they were at like 120 a share. And I actually wrote a paper about it in a law and accounting course I took, talking about accounting fraud, more or less. And I opened up a put debit, so like it limited some of the costs there on eHealth, and it's like maybe $200 or so into the position, and that's like up 60% or something like that. I'm letting it just ride towards expiration, but that's like my only short put position that I've pretty much ever done, at least like with the actual intention to hold it for any amount of time, other than just messing around when I was like 19 or something. Thank you, Robert.
The kind of short research that we see from firms like what's it, Citron, whatever.
Yeah.
Citron.
Yeah, I think that's rubbish. I mean, it's like when something's 30, it should be worth like 25. Like,
yeah, right.
You're wasting time.
Yeah, that's just like, that's not science. That's way more art than science.
I think he gave up short selling, right? Or at least publishing his short reports.
Well, yeah, because they got after what happened with GameStop, they got gutted. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, shorting, it's one of the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not, right? And I am not a sinner in this matter.
I would never make it a substantial portion, mainly because of what Tom said to lead it off. The fixed upside. You can only double on a short, and whereas you're never getting 100 bagger on a short unless you're like leveraged out of your ears, in which case you're kind of insane, anyways.
And you've got to be right on both the direction and the timing.
Right.
Very hard.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to do both, let alone one.
And from a slightly selfish perspective, I'm still glad short sellers exist because they often have very good write-ups on companies you're potentially looking at, and they think about stuff you might not have considered, which is useful.
I think shorts are still an important part of like the pricing mechanism of the market, even if they might be unreasonable a lot of the time. But you could say that in the opposite direction as well. You have a lot of unreasonable bullish sentiments. You get some unreasonable bearish sentiments in there, and you'll find a price somewhere in between there. Maybe it'll be more reasonable because you have shorts out there.